Hi, Josh.
Hi, Amanda. What are we talking about today?
I thought we would talk about the FMLA today. We help a lot of folks that need to go out on FMLA leave for their own serious health condition or that of a family member. And they're really interested in how that impacts work the rest of the year in which they took FMLA leave. So I have two questions for you. The first is, if you have a quota at your job and you take FMLA during a particular fiscal year or calendar year, are you entitled to a reduced quota because you were out on medical leave? Likewise, if you are expecting a bonus at the end of your work year, are you entitled to the same bonus that you typically would be? Or is your employer entitled to take some type of a reduction based on time that you were actually working, regardless of that medical leave?
Great questions, Amanda. Remember that for most employees around the country, FMLA leave is going to be unpaid. It is job protected leave, but not compensation protection. It's not wage protection. You are entitled to be reinstated to your same position when you come back from that FMLA leave, but you're not entitled to compensation while you're gone. So how does that translate to the issue of quota? Let's start with that. If you go out on FMLA leave, you are entitled to a reduced quota that accounts for that leave. Otherwise, the leave would basically be illusory. It wouldn't exist. You'd be charged for doing work on that leave, except you weren't doing the work. So let's say you go out for an FMLA leave of 3 months, which is a quarter of the year, and you have $1 million sales quota that you need to generate. Well, what your employer is required to do is to reduce your quota by that same proportion, by 25%, by 1/4. So now you should be expected to generate sales of $750,000 per year. And that is your right as a person who's gone on an FMLA to enforce that reduced quota vis-a-vis your employer. But your employer also has some rights here with respect to a bonus. Now let's imagine that you don't have a discretionary bonus. You have a commission-based bonus or you have a production-based bonus. Your employer is allowed to prorate that bonus so that it pays you proportionally less while you're out on the FMLA leave. Otherwise, it would be as if the FMLA leave were required to be compensated, and it's not under the federal FMLA. You are entitled to only a prorated bonus as long as that is what the employer is doing for people who also take similar leaves but do not do so under the FMLA. Here's what one circuit court said back in 2006. An employer may prorate any production bonuses to be paid to an FMLA leave taker by the amount of any lost production, be it hours or another quantifiable measure of productivity caused by the FMLA leave. In other words, you're not entitled to go out for 3 months and still expect that you're going to get your bonus as if you've been working those 3 months and producing what was expected of you. So you have rights and your employer has rights. This can be complicated. There can be some play in the joints, so it's something you might want to talk with an employment lawyer about. But those are the basics about how an FMLA leave can affect your quota and your production-based bonus.
It's so interesting because we always talk about FMLA with retaliation. My employer terminated me after I took leave, or they didn't give me all of the leave I was entitled to. This is a great example on how there are other entitlements within the FMLA that are important and that you should know about if you need to utilize that leave for yourself or your family members. Josh, thank you so much for that information and thank you for watching. Take care.